Well, it sounds like all of those experiences that you've had and your dad had really came together to form that triple crown, ideology, starting from the inside, being the servant leader, and then the goals and everything else comes and flows from that vision and values that you have. One of the things I know that you talk about in your books and is important to you is social considerations as well as sustainability, which sounds like that ethics and the endurance right there. What can leaders really expect right now? What are they thinking around like social change, social responsibility, and long-term sustainability?
Yeah. When I was in business school, one of the first courses was about business and society. And that's actually really important and interesting because a lot of people view business as separate from society. And you kind of view business is a game that you're supposed to play, that where you're supposed to maximize profits and growth and to maximize shareholder value. And this is actually kind of, you mentioned the word ideology. This is what business schools have been teaching for decades. And so it's actually been very influential. It's the way a lot of leaders view as their role. But of course, this is only one point of view about what business is fundamentally. Some people think it's obvious, it's that simple, period, there's no discussion. But there are competing worldviews about it. And so the whole leading multiple stakeholders is another competing theory where it's not just about shareholders who are of course important if they're investing and taking a risk and funding with capital, et cetera. But what about your employees and their experience and their opportunities to develop and grow and be rewarded and recognized and have fun and feel part of a team or a community? What about your customers? Are you adding value, solving problems, are you innovating? What about your partners, your suppliers, and are you helping them? And what about your communities? Are you engaged locally with the schools or volunteering? And what about the world and climate and larger things? And so business, of course, is one piece of these systems. And I think, right now we're talking during a pandemic, and with all of the health strains, but the financial strains and the mental health strains come with it. And it really shows, John Kabat-Zinn said that the moment is the curriculum. And I think one of the things that I've seen clearer than ever is you see how dependent and interdependent we are as systems, and that business can operate, well without government and regulation and nonprofits and societies and families and hospitals and schools, with a lot of parents supporting their kids with remote learning. So it's all connected. And so if you're leading people today, they're going to be asking you about, particularly younger generations, about sustainability questions. What are we doing? Is it responsible? They're going to be asking us about ethical and about impact. Are we engaging? And so there's a lot of people who are looking for some kind of higher purpose. And our customers are going to be asking for that too. And they're willing to pay a premium if we're doing that well and communicating it, but they're also willing to walk away if they see you being irresponsible or not sufficiently woke, not sufficiently dialed in to these opportunities. It's also a business opportunity if you do this well, right? You can add financial value and social impact and get that engine revving, but it's not obvious. It doesn't happen automatically.
And it sounds like they're no longer mutually exclusive, where you have to focus on the financial stakeholder returns when you can actually think about really, shareholder returns versus stakeholder returns, that you're really thinking about the impact on everyone locally and can even be globally in some contexts as well.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think the more you actually think about adding value to the different stakeholders, the more powerful the overall business model can become, because it gives you room and margin, right? But it's a long-term play. If you're talking about just this quarter or this month, I mean, clearly cut costs, drive sales, over promise, don't meet the expectations that you've set out with your sales team and these kinds of things, under deliver. But that's going to come back to bite you in the medium and the long term, because you're going to be reducing trust. You're going to be losing people. You have to rehire and retrain. And so it takes you into this tension between the short term and the long term. But you also have to get away from the thinking of trade-offs. It's either this or this. That's like the simplistic way to view it. And often with innovation, we can do both. We can sort of change the frame and have the short term and the long term, have the excellent and the ethical.